Hi, and welcome to BizTech's APAC Cyber Security Show. Every week, we update the region on the latest threats and incidences to help you better protect yourselves. Now, today, our show is, as always, with my regular co host, Benjamin Ang, who's the head of Cyber and Homeland Defense at the Center of Excellence for National Security at the NTU in Singapore. Ben, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Brian. Always happy to be here.
Now, Ben, for a start, when we think of cybersecurity, we often have notions of complex attacks and complex ways that we're being attacked and complex ways that we need to protect ourselves. But the reality, however, it may be a lot simpler. Now, the basic thing that we can do to protect ourselves better is by having better passwords. Now, we have a story out of Australia that highlights this. Now, a study conducted by Telstra, or for Telstra by YouGov, found that an amazing 1.4 million Australians use the same password across 10 or more different accounts. But wow, Ben, that seems like a lot, but I hate to say this, but I think a lot of us do that too.
Hey, Brian. Of course. Can you imagine that if they did the same survey in Singapore or Malaysia? I'm sure you'd get the same kind of results, and more than 10, surely, websites, because it's so common for people to reuse passwords. I mean, I used to do it myself until I discovered how dangerous it was.
Now, okay, then what are the weakest sort of passwords that people generally use?
People use weak passwords like their name of a pet, their birthday. Fortunately, a lot of password systems now reject the simplest ones like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They'll tell you can't have a whole sequence of numbers in a row. But, the rest are quite easy to remember. And I can tell you, even if you have only one difficult password, but you use the same password over multiple sites, you've just lost the effect of it.
I see. And because basically they're not mutually exclusive, isn't it?
Yeah, because let's say you use your difficult password to log into something simple like food ordering, right? Or maybe your gym membership. And these are sites which are not necessarily well protected. They may not have the best security. So your username and your password get leaked. And now they are being sold on the dark web. And because hackers also know that everybody reuses their passwords, they will reuse your username and your password to go and try to get into other accounts on other servers. And then bingo, they've gotten into not just your food ordering or your gym membership, they've gotten into possibly financial stuff or maybe health information or sensitive information. And that's it. Don't reuse passwords. Please don't reuse passwords.
Okay, then in other words, how do we stay safe?
Well, one good way is to make sure that you've got different passwords for every site. And although it can be difficult to remember, I know people who are writing this down in address books, right? So that you can keep it.
And I've just
close to
started doing
yourself.
that after doing the show, actually, to actually
Yes,
physically write it in a small book, and all my passwords are there.
yes, and you keep that safe. You it's like your diary. Don't leave it around. Don't stick it on the fridge, like what some people in the article said. That again, what's the point? Or stick it on the side of your monitor, right? I mean, don't do that. I used to see that when I was doing IT security.
Now, on a different note, Ben, I want to look at then the whole topic of around state-sponsored cyber criminals. Now, hackers backed by North Korean government have been observed using wiretapping malware as part of a campaign of surveillance attacks. Now, this is according to a South Korean cybersecurity firm AhnLabs, and said that the Advanced Persistent Threat, or APT, was discovered most recently in May this year, and that the malware is being delivered via spear phishing email with a password protected document. How does this all work, Ben? This sounds like Greek to me.
Yeah, let me try to translate to English. So what the hackers are doing is that they're sending emails to individuals, but to your name. And it looks like a message that's intended for you, a document that you need to by the way, how did they get your name? Check back with the previous story about all your passwords and names being leaked out.
Yes.
So it's all linked. So you get an email which you think is meant for you. You think the document is meant for you because it looks like some work-related thing. You click on it, and then what it does is it opens up a software which now it doesn't immediately destroy your computer. What it does is it sits on your computer and it starts recording what you type. For example, sensitive information, passwords into your banking account, and it can even switch on the microphone. So it can start to record things that you're saying. And that could be used to blackmail people, can be used for extortion, can be used for espionage, lots of things.
So here's the thing, right? We hear a lot of this, and unfortunately, for better or for worse, North Korea and China are basically countries which have been associated with rogue cyber criminals. But that's not necessarily a fair thing, is it? Because a lot of this is unsubstantiated.
I think that in the case of North Korea, there's a pretty strong possibility because uh, in North Korea, you don't get access to computers and the internet unless you have the permission of the government.
Okay.
But in bigger countries like China, I mean, the many reports come out calling a particular threat a cyber threat from China. But that how much evidence do they have? Part of it is circumstantial. You might have the evidence that the attacks are traced back to a server in China, or that people are using it during Chinese office hours, or that maybe seem to be targeting US government data. So you try and draw these things together, but these are not 100% conclusive proof. So I would read everything with a pinch of salt, and also remember that basically every country tries to hack every other country.
And on that note, on that very sobering note, every country basically hacks and spies on every country. On that sobering note, that's it for this week's APAC Cyber Security Show. Ben, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you, Brian.
We've been speaking to Benjamin Ang, Head of Cyber and Homeland Defense at the Center of Excellence for National Security at NTU in Singapore on BizTech's APAC Cyber Security Show. I'm Brian Fernandez. This show will be on our website, www.biztech.asia, as well as our syndication partners, TV stations, radio stations, and websites. Thanks a lot for tuning in.